Ever since NASA first began its exploration of Mars, the space agency has had trouble with the question of whether there could be life on the red planet. Now, it just might have an answer. On the summit of Mauna Kea in Hawaii, NASA's powerful infrared telescope zooms in on Earth's nearest neighbor. In March of 2003, the data starts showing something strange.
It is now absolutely certain that there is methane on Mars.
It was something like 19,000 tons of methane being produced on Mars that really we couldn't explain.
The implications of this discovery stun astronomers.
We have no evidence whatsoever that there are any active volcanoes on Mars today.
So, the recent discovery of methane on Mars is unlikely to have come from any volcanic activity.
The absence of volcanic activity forces scientists to consider a challenging possibility.
On Earth, most methane is produced by living organisms.
For example, cows produce vast amounts of methane as part of their life cycle, as part of their metabolism.
What if methane in the Martian atmosphere was telling us that today on Mars there were life forms alive somewhere producing it?
Since NASA first detected methane, mankind has dispatched 10 missions to explore the atmosphere and surface of the red planet. All have failed to find definitive proof of life. However, maybe they've been looking in the wrong place.
The idea that there's methane on Mars.
One of the very exciting things about finding methane on Mars is that it's an indicator of biological activity.
It might be a signal that there are living things. And living things on another world would be, of course, one of the most dramatic findings in the history of science.
NASA scientists launch a long-term investigation into the source of the phenomena. They first determine if the clouds of gas are simply a relic from Mars's geological past.
Methane has a very short lifetime in the Martian atmosphere. Mars is a very oxidizing place, and that kind of burns the methane up.
For it to even be there in any detectable amount means that there has to be a source for it. It has to be replenished. Where would this methane come from?
Investigators tasked with answering this question turn to our own planet for clues.
On Earth, there's a few ways of making methane. So volcanoes, for example, make methane.
Hint that perhaps there could be a source that's associated with life, maybe in the subsurface.
I think if there is life on Mars, it's likely deep underground. And I don't think there's any good arguments that can be made that say there can't be right now.
The concept of a subterranean Martian world full of living organisms sounds like something from the annals of science fiction. The idea is, however, based on established scientific evidence.
Over 80% of Earth life is actually living underneath the surface of the Earth. And so the fact that we don't find life at the surface of Mars today doesn't really tell you much about the possibilities of life underneath. There could be a wonder world for small living creatures underneath the Martian surface right now.
In the near future, European and Russian space agencies plan to send a rover to the red planet to explore the 3 key areas where life could exist. Until then, the source of the